Hello and welcome to Bookshop Crawl UK Online. My name is Reese and today we have the great privilege of talking to the wonderful people at Graffeg Publishing. Graffeg publish a range of illustrated general interest non-fiction books and a selection of illustrated fiction for children. Since the early 2000s, Graffeg have won many national and international awards, receiving critical acclaim for the work that they do. Matthew, Croeso, diolch yn fawr. Welcome, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, thank you for having us.
So I've just given a little bit of an introduction of what Graffeg do, but can you just tell us a little bit more about Graffeg and perhaps about the role that you do?
Yeah, sure. Graffeg, I believe, was founded in 2003. We started out as the publishing wing of a design agency that was then run by our managing director, Peter Gill. He started producing books about Wales, very visual with the whole design ethos behind the company. Discovering Welsh houses, discovering Welsh gardens, landscape Wales, food Wales. There was a bit of a theme developing there. I'm very conscious of where we are and what we did. And gradually the opportunities arose and the business developed. I started with the company in 2010. I bear the title Publishing Director, which covers everything from, I suppose, assisting with the whole commissioning process, the dealing with submissions. Primarily, I look after sales and logistics based down here in our office in Machynlleth. The title also covers emptying the bins and doing the hoovering. It's we're not the biggest publisher in the world. There are 10 members of staff, I suppose, altogether, including myself and Peter. And everyone kind of has the opportunity to chip in with pretty much everything. I mean, at times as the pressure of work dictates. So we're fairly fluid in our job roles as well.
Sounds like an idyllic situation, to be honest. I do like workplaces where sort of everybody gets involved in some way or other in sort of similar projects. So it's even from like you said, from cleaning right up to the top of actually selling. I think that sounds perfect in my scenario of a business, if I'm honest. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, yeah, it's one of the things that drew me to the whole publishing thing. I mean, you're never quite sure what's going to come through the door the next day. You're never quite sure what the problem is, what the crisis is, or what the opportunity is. And it's that kind of variation and that sort of keeping you on your toes that I absolutely love about the book industry generally, I think.
Very good. I'm going to ask you something just about the books that you publish. One of the favourite things that we have during bookshop calls, when we go to different locations around the country, around Wales, around England, around Scotland, we've been to Ireland, it's sort of, we go all over the place. But what we often find is in the bookshops, you often find that the locations of the bookshops tend to influence the books that are on display or influence the displays that they have. Do you feel that your location in the heart of Wales, does that affect the books that you publish?
I mean, yes, of course. We are in Wales. We're a publisher based in Wales, so Wales is going to influence what we do. There's one very obvious way in which it influences what we do, in that, particularly in our children's books, we publish a lot in the Welsh language. Generally, we will now try, when we're producing a new title, to do it in both languages simultaneously, a Welsh language edition and an English language edition published side by side. But we're also trying to catch up on our backlist and bring out Welsh titles there as well. In that, again, influenced by where we are supported by the Welsh Books Council, Books Council of Wales, they are these days, who are a tremendous resource for the book industry within Wales. I mean, I've got to pick them up. I know I actually used to work for them, but there's no money has changed hands. They support us with with certain grant funding, which enables us to produce books that possibly otherwise wouldn't have had the quite so commercial edge that they would need to. But also they're there for help, support and advice. They're there repping the books around the bookshops in Wales. So all the bookshops you guys will be visiting will know their Welsh Books Council rep. So I suppose that's one aspect of how it colours what we do. But also, I mean, there's a Welsh influence in our titles, on some of our titles, but we're also a UK publisher. We're working in a UK market. I was once told a story by a publisher that had a text arrive on his, by an author that sent out a text to a publisher, and he based the text in Wales. And the advice came back, oh, it's a great text, but can you send it somewhere a little better, like Sheffield? Fortunately, those days, I hope, are gone. We can publish a title which will draw on a Welsh background, a Welsh backdrop, and it will be acceptable across the border. But we are conscious of the fact that if we're going to use a Welsh name in a title or in a children's book, it has to be one that can easily be pronounced. They can't have too many difficulties with children trying to read double L's and CH's. Yeah, I mean, it's the market influences what we do, but also we are keen to take Welsh culture outside of Wales and as an export to the rest of the world if we can as well.
It's really good to hear. We'll talk a little bit later about some of the titles. I know we've got a few of Graffeg titles in our house already, and it's be interesting to talk a little bit more about some of them. I'd be very intrigued to find out if actually there is a copy of it. We spoke before about the Gaspard series, which we're particularly attached to in our family, especially our kids. Well, I think the adults as well, if I'm honest. He's quite a cute fox, if I'm honest. But is there a Welsh version?
Funnily enough, there isn't yet, but okay. The fourth book is about has literally gone to print today, and we do have a little bit of grant funding from the Books Council of Wales to turn it into a Welsh edition. So that is going to spark, I think, the journey of Gaspard into Welsh, and then hopefully we'll catch up with the backlist.
There you go.
We'll be out there. Yeah.
Brilliant. There we go. So can you tell us, well, you've just told us something that's coming up, but could you tell us a little bit something exciting that is coming up for yourselves? Be that in terms of books you're publishing or perhaps events that you'll be attending? I know we're all sort of getting back into going to events and actually having live events rather than things on Zoom, or so it's sort of interesting to see what publishers, what people in the book industry are actually getting back into.
Yeah, I was thinking about this before chatting to you, and one of the exciting things for me is we do attend quite a few sort of fairs and festivals where we're literally standing behind a trestle table with our books arrayed in front of us, acting like a retailer. For us, it's not just about selling the books at these events. We get a huge amount of feedback firsthand from customers. We can see what they're picking up, what they're putting down, why they're not buying things as much as why they are buying things. And we can kind of see what works, and we can feed that back into what we do in the future. And we've learned very many valuable lessons over the years from doing that. We haven't been able to do that for the past few years because none of these events have taken place. So I'm actually quite excited to be going to the St Fagans Food Festival in the end of September, and the Pembroke Christmas Market in December, which, apart from the fact I can get out there and do my own Christmas shopping as well, does mean, there's nothing better than as a bookseller would tell you, there's nothing better than making that sale and seeing something go off with a book in their bag. So
I can understand completely. Any excuse to get your Christmas shopping done at the same time, I think.
Absolutely.
For those of you who, I will speak broadly to everybody. For those of you watching this who don't know, St Fagans is the Welsh museum, isn't it? Just to make sure I'm thinking of the right place.
Yes, I can't remember its full title actually, but it's something about, it's the National Museum of Wales, cultural heritage history type place. I mean, it's a fabulous place. If you ever come to Cardiff, go visit it. Absolutely fabulous, and a brilliant day out for any child that gets to explore these wonderful buildings that are on site.
Absolutely, yes. We took our children when we went on the Bath Bookshop Crawl about 2-3 years ago. We took them to, we stayed in the area in Bath for a bit longer. And so we went over to Wales and went to St Pagan's. That was the first time I'd been back in about 10 years. And it was just as magical as I remember it being, actually, from when I was a child. It's one of those amazing locations where literally they take buildings from elsewhere around Wales, historic buildings that were perhaps going to get knocked down, or just historic buildings that need saving. And brick by brick, they take them and they put them into St Pagan's, into the site, which is acres of land. We are actually hoping to take our relatives over the Welsh Bookshop Crawl to St Pagan's. So it'll be amazing to share that with other relatives who've never been there. So yes. Anyway, sorry, that was by the by. I just suddenly remembered that yes, that is where I've seen your books. In fact, I believe they sell copies in the shop as well, if I remember correctly.
They do. Yep. Over the years, we've done a lot of work with the National Museum, producing some books on their behalf, as well as then selling selling our books through their retail units. So yeah, good people down there.
Very good. We are chatting today as part of the Big Welsh Bookshop Crawl, and this is a very evil question. I do apologise for it. But equally, if you don't want to answer it, please don't, or answer with more than one answer, because I know it's very difficult for some people who work in the industry to give a straight answer with this one. Do you have a favourite bookshop in Wales?
Oh, yeah, the politically sensitive question. Well, I've got lots of favourite bookshops in Wales, and, you know, it's really unfair to single them out, I suppose. I mean, I'm gonna sit on the fence in a way. I'm gonna talk about Booka up in Oswestry, who are actually in England, so therefore they don't count as a Welsh bookshop. I mean, the guys up there do a great job in sort of taking a bit of Wales on their shelves into what is England, what used to be Wales apparently historically, but is now very much England. So I like what the guys up there do. Bookish down in Crickhowell, Emma, and the fantastic work she does there, and the team. I've spent many a happy hour browsing the shelves in there. And the reason I'm singling them out is not simply for their work as a bookshop, but also the work they're doing in keeping Crickhowell as a place where independent trade thrives. It's a great little community, and a great little community of retailers there. So they need all the support they can get. There's also non-bookshops. I mean, there's outlets these days that sell books that aren't typically bookshop. And a particular shout out I'd like to give is to the Penrallt Gallery in Machynlleth, who during lockdown did a launch for a book we brought out called Behind the Mask, which was a photographic record of a COVID treatment in Abergavenny Hospital, there, Neville Hall Hospital. And they managed to do a launch even though they weren't open, using just their window and the photographic exhibition and stuff, working phenomenally hard to keep going in sort of tough times. So I'd love to flag them up as well. But all the indies out there, the ones that have survived the last few years, the ones who we've been in touch with and who have tried to support us by keeping our books on the shelves, and we've tried to support them through trying to make sure they've got the books they needed to sell while the industry was going through the problems of how it could stay open, how supply lines could keep going. So
it's so good to hear such positivity about bookshops all around the country. But I know that locations such as Crickhowell, as you said, they are that's literally in the heart of the valleys, and it's literally sort of we've been in contact with Bookish, and they are an incredible group of people, incredible business. the work that they do in their area, and I'm pleased to see that they are being rewarded as well, obviously with awards, etc. over the years. It really is wonderful to see. Which brings me on to my final question, I guess. The list of recommendations. These don't have to be recommendations from your own publisher. Obviously, you're more than welcome to. But do you have any book recommendations that you'd like to pass on to our bookshop crawlers?
Oh, this is a hard one, because I mean, I don't know. I dip into all manner of books, and to be honest, the older I get, the less up to date I am with anything new coming out, and I tend, on the personal front, when I'm reading stuff, I tend to be going back in time. So I'm currently on a sort of a journey back to I don't know. I think I'm reading Philip Roth, Human Stain, I think it's called. That's my current bedtime reading. In terms of recommendations, keep a lookout for Portraits of Tibet, which is a book we've just published by Diane, who has been basically visiting a nomadic tribe in Tibet for the last 20 years, getting to know them, getting to know the culture and the feel of the people and what they do and who they are. And has photographed, and her photography is absolutely incredible. It's not a romantic portrayal of a bygone life that we wish to retain. It's a documentation of a life that's changing as modern technology and modern ways of doing things perhaps impact on traditions, how those traditions adapt. She wanted to catalogue it before some elements of it finally disappear. And we're incredibly pleased that she came to us with her work. And that book's due out, I believe, in September. On a children's front, I'm going to flag up a book called Goodbye Hobbs, which again came to my desk, and it's one of those moments where you read a submission and it just grips you, and you go, "Wow!" That it's on the surface, it's about a dog that doesn't want to go out for a walk anymore because his companion dog in the house has passed away, and it's a book about finding a reason for going for a walk again, about losing someone, but also it's okay to move on. It's okay to to one day feel happy again and to reflect back with positive memories rather than just sadness. So that's a rather magical book we've got coming out in October too. And I will flag this up because it is a fusion of book selling and writing. Basically, The Wish Gatherers has been written for us by Karin Celestine, who has published a number of books with us now. I think we're on 10 or 11. But for this one, she's combined her photography with artwork by Tamsin Rosewell of Kenilworth Books.
Right.
And the two of them got together, and with one of our designers who worked some rather scarily effective magic in bringing photography and live action together to produce what is an interesting collaborative project. And I mention that because, as I say, Tamsin's a fantastic bookseller and worked incredibly hard there in Kenilworth. So yeah, that's my reading list.
Fantastic. It's a really nice selection as well. I really appreciate that. That's well, Matthew, thank you so much for your time today. Much appreciated. I wish you all the well with all the events that you're running this year, and wish you well for the rest of 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much.